Hey guys, I'm Sam and I'm neurodivergent. In what way? All of them? I don't know. It's anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess. But the fun thing about being neurodivergent is that when I like something, it takes up my entire personality. If I like something, that's the moment. That's the media. That's the thing. She's the icon. She's the legend. Do you know what I'm talking about? So when I say that I'm an avid reader, I do read a lot, but I really only read two genres because I'm pretty clear about what I like. So for me, my only genres that I even read are fantasy and gay. So, like, gay fantasy, basically. That's really all I'm reading at any given moment. Sometimes I branch out, but rarely. So today I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite gay fantasy romance novels. And we're going to start with a really fun one, Carry On. I really like Carry On because basically, if you haven't heard of it, it's a little bit of a Harry Potter parody in a way. Like, it's very meta. But basically, you have this kid, Simon, who's like the chosen one, going to a special magic school, very much like Hogwarts. And he's got this enemy who's kind of like his nemesis, which is Baz, this guy, the hot one. It's kind of giving like a Harry Potter fan fiction, you know? And literally that's what it comes from because the book was inspired by another book called Fangirl, which is about a girl writing fan fiction of these characters. So it's super meta. I haven't even read Fangirl. I want to now that I've read all of these books. But for me, it's really, it's about the gay fantasy. So that's why this one is so important. What I love about this book is that it kind of makes fun of and plays around with certain tropes while still genuinely doing them. Rainbow Rowell kind of created this whole Harry Potter like world, but she made it her own and gave it its own lore so that it could make fun of Harry Potter and obviously like show what it's a reference to, but still be its own thing and its own work that can stand alone. So that's something that I really like. Obviously, I like the romance, which is kind of the center of the book because it's about Simon and Baz, who are, enemies to lovers. It's kind of for those girls who shipped like Harry and Draco. But the way that Harry Potter's written, J.K. Rowling, the menace, she didn't give Draco Malfoy really any depth, in my opinion. So in this book, you have like two really interesting, complex characters where it's believable that there's this like enemies to lovers romance kind of building. So I really recommend this book. There's a whole series and it's really good. So get into it. This one's one of my favorites. Another fantasy romance that I really want to talk about is A Taste of Golden Iron. Ooh, listen, listen, listen. Guys, if you like a gay fantasy romance, which I'm assuming you do if you clicked on this video, it's written by Alexandra Rowland and it's about Cato, who's kind of like this very sweet twink prince with like a lot of anxiety. And as someone who also has an anxiety disorder, he was very relatable to me. And then you've got Evimer, who's more of like a type A, kind of like by the book, follows the rules kind of guy, military kind of dude, and he's assigned to be Cato's bodyguard. And they don't really like it does also have that kind of like enemies to lovers thing going on where he doesn't really like Cato at first because he kind of is seeing his anxiety disorder symptoms as a weakness, and then as he gets to know him really learns like how much strength he actually has, which is something that I really just ate up. I ate it up. I loved it. So yeah, get into this baby. For those of you who like the like prince bodyguard, princess body, whatever, somebody in their bodyguard, the movie Bodyguard, if you like that kind of dynamic, and if you like, again, enemies to lovers, this one is killer. I really want there to be a sequel to this. I don't know if Alexandra Rowland is gonna write one because it feels like it's just a standalone, but I need more of these characters. I want more. So I really hope they do. Now, the next book that I want to talk about is a huge series that has consumed me. It's taken over my brain space. It's all I think about at any given moment. That trend about men thinking about the Roman Empire every day, like I'm thinking about this, and it's Heaven Official's Blessing. This is a Chinese gay fantasy romance series, and ooh, first of all, this author, MXTX, she knows what she's doing, okay? She knows how to write a romance for me. For a lot of people, but specifically for me. So I don't, like, how do I even describe this book? Because this is like the Seven Seas translation. So some people have said that the translation isn't quite like up to what the actual source material is, which kills me a little bit because I cannot speak Chinese, cannot read Chinese, and I wish that I could, just so that I could read this book and fully get it. Okay, but like enough of that. The reason I'm so obsessed with it is because the plot is basically Jilian, which I'm gonna mispronounce these names. I'm gonna do my best, but I'm gonna mispronounce them. So here's me trying my best and probably failing. But you've got Jilian, who is, I guess, this like sort of disgraced god. And then you've got Hua Chung, who is like this like ghost king in like the ghost world. But what's cool about it is that Jilian and Hua Chung have a connection from their past that Jilian may not remember, but Hua Chung does, okay? This guy, oh man, this guy. When will anyone ever, when will a man love me like this guy loves this guy? When will a man love me like this guy loves this guy? Oh, let me tell you. It's, ooh, ooh, listen, this book makes me feral. This book series makes me absolutely feral. And I know I'm not describing it well, but basically, Hua Chung is so devoted to Julien that like the things that he the things that he does for him, okay? It's just, listen, the romance is chef's kiss, but guys, get into it. The Seven Seas Publishing is putting out like 8 books. They've like broken up the original Chinese books into like 8 books like this size. And the last translated version still hasn't come out yet, but you better believe I read the whole thing online already on some kind of sketchy website. So definitely recommend, get into that series. MXTX pretty much exclusively writes like gay fantasy romance. And so all of it is going to be this kind of energy, but none of it has, none of her other works have like taken over all of my brain space the way this one has. So this one's the one that I recommend the most, but also you can check out any of her books. They're all very popular and really good. So all of those 3 books are gay fantasy romance novels where like the emphasis is on the romance. I mean, some critiques that Taste of Golden Iron has gotten is that it's more focused on the romance than the plot, which was fine with me because the romance was great. And you know, this one, there's a lot that happens in the plot that I genuinely didn't understand. Like there were so many storylines going on that I genuinely didn't understand, but the romance, that's what kept me in. That's what kept me invested. This one also, it has a whole storyline with a lot of different characters that are very like interesting and cool, but the heart of it is that you're focused on this romance. So the last book that I want to talk about is very different from the other 3 books because it's not focused on the romance the way that they are. It is a fantasy and it is gay, and there is romance coming soon to a theater near you. There is romance coming, but that's Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. Now, C.S. Pacat is most known for writing the Captive Prince series, which, that series, I did check it out because I love this book so much, but, it's a little too kinky for me. it was a little more kinky than what I was ready for. So I couldn't really get into that one the way that I've just like absolutely been consumed and devoured by this one. But this book, Dark Rise, it's about Will, who's also kind of a chosen one kind of character, which I love a chosen one. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. I love a chosen one because I am the main character and I'm the chosen one in my story. So of course I want to read about a chosen one. Of course. Will kind of is this sort of like chosen one kind of character. He kind of falls in with this group called the Stewards that see him as the savior to defeating the ultimate evil, the ultimate bad guy, the Dark King. And so he kind of gets caught up in that. And there's another character in the story named James who's a little sassy blonde twink, and we love a twink, I think, in these romances. So James is great, and the way that their relationship kind of gets complicated and interesting and builds is very cool. This book, the sequel, is coming out in November. And yes, I pre-ordered it, okay? The sequel is, I think, where we're really gonna start to see more of the romance that this book was building up to. So, guys, I've never waited for a book the way that I'm waiting for the sequel to this. It's called Dark Air, and listen. Ooh, I'm ready for it. I'm like salivating. I'm absolutely like I can't be out in society when I think about this book. I need to read it so bad. I need to get my grubby little paws on the sequel so bad. Because this book does end in a way where there's some unexpected moments in this book where you're gonna be like, yeah, I can't wait to know what happens next. Like, I physically can't wait to know what happens next. I will die if I don't find out what happens next. That's this, all right? So those are kind of like my favorite gay fantasy romance type books. If you ever need a recommendation in that specific niche, hit me up, I've got you. But those were sort of like my top favorites, and I hope you guys check them out. If you haven't read them already, then get into it. And if you have read them, then you get it. Then you get it. Then you know. You know I am this way. But thank you guys for watching. This is my first little YouTube video talking about books and stuff. I was a YouTuber in middle school. But we don't need to go into that. That's a story for another video. Leave a comment on this video if you like any of these books or are excited about them. Thanks for watching. Bye.